Lovely day to you as you join us in the Weekend Deal Studio from the Nigerian Television Authority. My name is Elizabeth Abaye, and my usual question is, how are you? Very imperative. Now, this morning I was getting dressed for work. As soon as I had a bath, came out, sat on my creative, if you like, visual impression table. The NEPA took the lights. That's what we call it, NEPA. And you know what that means for every single lady: bad makeup. Thank God for alternative lights, and I try to do my thing to ensure that I circumvent and still be here with you. Now, beyond my vain need, beyond my quest to satisfy my vain need, there is also a very great need of power, energy sector, if you ask me, for us to grow as a nation. It's been on the lips of a lot of Nigerians, and today we want to find out how far so far. Are things better? We'll move around the states and get to find out what people are doing, what are they feeling, what are they saying about the power sector, that's the electricity, and how much of it can we go around to ensure that we have it in full force for everyone to prosper. Yes. That's civilization. Talk about civilization, talk about light, and things go around. Let's quickly take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about you and I, what affects us more. You know, when you sleep in, mosquito goes, wee, because there's no light. Let's see. You know, I was in a ceremony sometime, and a lot of discussion went around NEPA, whatever you want to call it. They actually call it NEPA. But the name have moved from NEPA, Power Holdings, ADC, whatever you call it. A lot of things have been done to ensure that we are better satisfied. The basic thing is, what does that translate to in our homes when it comes to electricity and, of course, power use, energy use in our homes, in our offices, in our business areas? I don't know, but I know that today you and I we'll be having that discussion because my iPad is ready. You'll be sending your messages and we'll be replying it. And we'll be joined by a guest who also help us solve problems. But for now, let's get to find out the backgrounder. What really is the problem? Francis Ogbe will look at this for us.
The energy needs of the countries of the world are increasingly growing. An international projection reported that the energy dependence of the world is expected to rise by over 34% between 2002 and 2025, while that of the developing nations will double this percentage. Presently, 76 million Nigerians of the Nigerian population are not connected to the national power grid. For those connected, power supply is a serious problem as about approximately 90% of the total power demanded is not supplied.
An industry in chaos, an industry in disarray. That is the assessment I can give you. Because virtually everybody, like I told you, does what they like. The distribution companies do what they like because they form themselves into a kind of cartel to hold government to ransom. The generation companies also try to do that.
Very poor. We ought to have moved beyond where we are, 2,000 megawatts, a population of over 200 million. We are still at that level. Always going up, falling down, there's no stability. And where there's no stability, how do we grow our SMEs? How do we now invite foreign investors to come to the country and do business with us? How will company grow?
As part of efforts in addressing power challenges in the country, President Muhammadu Buhari directed that there should be a nationwide mass metering program for electricity consumers in the country.
Those who do not want the system to succeed, those who do not want Nigerians, the ordinary man on the street, to benefit from the good intention of the president, they are still floating, they are still there. Same corrupt people. What stopped Nigeria, every household in Nigeria, from having meters? We can even produce, in fact, a company in Anambra State had even offered to produce meter locally. But they insisted they want to import meters from China. China brought in meters that were not even strong enough to withstand our power system in Nigeria.
The issue of electricity tariff has become a source of concern to many Nigerians. Instead of tariff hike, stakeholders should ensure increased efficiency in the power sector, including managing energy losses to make erratic power supply a thing of the past. Unfortunately today, most Nigerian businesses and households that can afford to do so run one or more diesel fuel generators to supplement the intermittent power supply.
Government is not putting the right fund in the right place. Third one is the appointment of just anybody.
The same problem that Nigeria has been fighting decades ago, corruption. How do we settle power problem how do we have a national solution to power problem when we still import generators? And those importing generators are the big names in government. Why would they not sabotage our discos? Why would they not sabotage our general supply of electricity? Why would they not do that?
Since the rural areas are far from the electricity grid and most currently do not have power, there is need for each area to become a little hub where they will produce their own power by whatever resource closest to them.
Solar power is more like for houses. But Nigeria is a country that must industrialize. We must grow strong. And you cannot be powering industries with solar.
We are gifted in terms of the solar power. I said it earlier that we need the manpower to be able to convert this natural resource to energy. We still have to look for people from China, from Germany, other experts to come here and develop this sector.
In order to enhance energy security and sustainability, the use of coal and other renewable energy sources, hitherto unused, have to be fully developed in partnership with the private sector. Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on the challenges of power supply in Nigeria and the way forward.
Power problem in Nigeria. Within that report, thank you, Francis, I heard you mentioned, mass metering, and a discussion actually went on around, somewhere around in Ibadan, and someone quickly took advantage of that and packaged a report to show how far so far with mass metering in Ibadan. Let's see it.
The National Mass Metering Program, expected to roll out 6 million meters across Nigeria in its first phase, will eventually cushion the effect of the service reflective tariff on electricity consumers in the country. What is the current state of things, and how much has been achieved in the drive to ensure all electricity consumers in the country are metered?
Our metering gap is in the 800,000. So you can see that we still have a very huge gap to cover before we can say everybody will be metered. And when I say 800, I don't mean 800,000 people do not have meters. There are some that have the old meters that are no longer compatible. There are some meters that are already old, maybe older than me in age. And meters that you will see, you will know that it was meter installed maybe 1954 or 1952. So there are lots of them there. And there are some that were installed during the PACN days that are no longer compatible with technology today. So those are the meters I'm talking about, including those who don't even have meters at all. So our gap is like 800. This NMMP for the phase 0 will only address about 103,000. And right now, we have installed about 85,000 of that. And we are moving on to complete the assignment. But that will only address 1/8%. So 1/8 of a... So we still have a long way to go.
Some residents of Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, who are excited about the numerous benefits of the prepaid meter, believe that government and IBDC should do more to tackle some of the problems in the energy sector.
When the government free meter came, we are all happy that okay, the solution has come. But later when we begin to ask IBDC people, where is our meter? They say it's only 100,000 they gave them. 100,000 to all every houses in Southwest. If they bring this 100,000 meter to this community on Apete feeder, some houses will not even get.
When you have prepaid meter, is pay as you use. You have your credit on your card. When they bring light, then it's being deducted, unlike prepaid estimated billing.
We have a lot of cooperation from people, but like in any society, there are one or two spots where we have issues, but we are addressing them. No fight. Customer is always right. We always have a way to cajole them to buy into the program. The interface between the customers and the disco is meter. That is the only way to measure what your energy consumption is.
Obviously, there's still a long way to go considering the wide gap that exists between the metered and unmetered consumers due to long years of neglect.
All right, we need power definitely, but when we get it, how do we use it? At the end of the day, some of us shout, my meter is running too fast, blah, 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 and all that. I don't have money to buy this, I don't have money to buy that. But do you know that you can actually conserve energy? It is possible. Let's follow these tips. When a bird learns to fly without perching, the hunter learns to shoot without missing. True and very apt. As our electricity bills are today, the birds that are constantly on the high side. However, we too must become that very good hunter and constantly keep it on check. Bring it low. How do we go about this? Just follow our tips. Before the purchase of any electronic or other home appliances, please look out for the energy guide. 1 to 2 indicates negative. 3 indicates average. 4 to 5 indicates great. Always buy the one with great energy conservation. For the light bulbs, always choose the LED light bulbs or the compact fluorescent over the shiny yellow bulbs or the incandescent light bulbs. Turn off all appliances when not in use. This is one trap almost everyone may just be cutting if put to test. Do you leave your television set on while sleeping? Desist from it. Do you leave your refrigerator or deep freezers on 24 hours even when they are half empty? Stop it. Do you switch off devices and leave them on standby mode? Quit from the habit. All appliances, be it in full use or on standby mode, spike up your electricity bill. Turn off from source and possibly unplug the wires completely. Turn off all security lights in the morning. Replace old appliances. The adage, the older the wine, the better, strictly does not apply to your household appliances, unless perhaps you mean the better they are at emptying your pockets. That 20-year-old refrigerator, that grandfather air conditioner, cooker, and the rest deserve their rest. Save the money you spend on the repairs, buy new ones, and see that you spend less on electricity bill. Share facilities. Instead of powering all television sets, all air conditioners in the house at once, bond with each other in one room most often. Share the amenities and save money while you do that. Learn the art and principle of alternative costs. Rather than own hard fabrics that require heavy ironing each time, opt for light, easy-to-wear clothes with little to zero need of ironing, or get the charcoal iron. Instead of cooking with the hot pot, use the gas cooker or even use the charcoal stove. Instead of putting on the light bulbs, fans and ACs, throw open the curtains, let in natural air and light. The good thing about this is While you save money doing this, you also gain additional fresh air and better vitamins from the sun. Earning money is hard. Let's protect it and spend as frugally as possible. Okay, now you know what to do. As much as the bills are going up, you should expect that it will go up if you're using lights, but you can also help yourself by reducing the bill if we do the right thing. Now, I have an energy expert just joining me who will help answer your questions. The numbers will be on the screen as you ask. I have mine already prepared. So I will be saying welcome to the former president, Nigerian Association for Energy Economics is a group, and at the moment he's the president, Emmanuel Ekboga Foundation here in Abuja, and of course his name is Professor Wumi Iledare. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Good morning. It's nice to be with you.
Thank you very much. I started by asking you, as you left your house, if you had light, and if you slept well. Your answer was yes.
Yes, I did.
I am happy. Indeed, a lot of Nigerians, if I ask that question as we speak, their answers will not be what you and I are talking about. Now, let me ask pointedly. For a long time, we've been talking about lights. We've been talking about energy. We've been talking, showcasing how it will help our businesses and help our lifestyles generally. What could be our problem? Why are we not getting it right?
Thank you again very much for your questions. And I think I can understand the frustration. But there are certain facts that are important for Nigerians to know. And do we really have electricity market in Nigeria? That's the first question. Mm-hmm. Because market has two aspects to it, supply and demand. And the key signal is the tariff. The investors must make money to be able to supply electricity. Consumers must be willing to pay. And the way to really monitor how much you consume is a meter. And that's the key. It makes energy planning even more difficult when you are not able to make projection of how much power will be required. Mm-hmm. And it begins with governance.
All right, so let me quickly speak with someone, or for someone who is writing in from Ilori. It says, Ilori in Kwara State, Ololade Akinola. He says, only God Almighty can unveil the mystery behind the efficiency in power sector. We cannot grow without good power supply. Sabotage is one of the main problems confronting the sector. Now, speaking from his point of view, how do we begin to circumvent sabotage? And do we really have the sabotage as he's speaking of today?
Well, I think we do when people continue to cut wires and they vandalize transformers and all of those equipment that are required to deliver power. However, investment is key. When you have a nation of about 200 million, you need at least 1,000 megawatt of electricity per million of people. And you are generating about 5,000, that's what you can evacuate. But the issue is the rule of law. And I think we have to understand that a nation cannot be averse to the rule of law. We must begin to make criminals pay for their violation of the law. Definitely. However, and again, I think the structure of the electricity market is also an issue. We need to decentralize the electricity market.
How do you mean?
How do we decentralize it? We need to revisit the Nigerian Electric Power Act of 2005. And then we need to revisit the Privatization Act. I think what we have is a pseudo-electricity market, not real. And it's a quasi-monopoly. And anytime you have what we call a monopoly, it's a single seller of product. They have to be properly regulated. Let me commend the 9th National Assembly and the federal government of Nigeria today under President Buhari. The Petroleum Industry Act is natural gas friendly. Mm-hmm. But that will not take power to the consumer.
Mm, okay.
because you see, the power sector has three important interrelated market structure. You have the generation, you have the transmission, and you have the distribution. And the three of them must be optimized. That is, the person generating power must make profit. The person transmitting power must make profit. And the person distributing power must make profit.
I'd like to find out, how can we begin, to ensure that Nigerians have sufficient meter? Earlier on, somebody mentioned about producing in Nigeria. What's your take on that?
Well, again, this is one of the reasons why I will commend some institution of government like the National Content Board. Listen, if you are going to grow this economy, you have to produce goods and services that are consumed, and you have the competent. However, you cannot, under the circumstances in which power generation is not sustainable and affordable, be able to go into some of this energy-intensive industry. And when I see Nigerians jubilating because they can have air conditioner in their home and they have light, no, that is minute. The energy-intensive industry requires a lot of energy and power. We can't do that at this time. So basically then, we need to find a way to make sure that what is important we get. And that, to me, you cannot have a good energy planning if you cannot have a good projection of how much energy the society needs.
What you're saying now quickly reminds me of estimated billing.
Exactly.
And I know that Nigerians, you're not the only one who is speaking about it. Nigerians are talking about it. And I want you to speak out to Nigerians. Prof, what's your take on this? You already started something about your father's house, estimated bill.
Well, let me be honest with you. I think it is illegal. Because if you go to and I'm fortunate to have lived across the world, the purpose of estimated billing is that you will correct it. That is, maybe you did not have enough manpower to read all the meters, and so you make a projection based on previous consumption. And then when you come to read the meters, then you correct it. The estimated billing they are charging people will never be corrected. So this idea of estimated billing, in my opinion, is not a business strategy. It's not an optimal business strategy. Actually, by the time you look at it and properly look at those who have meters now compared to what you have billed them, you've created a lot of losses, both what we call consumer losses and consumer surplus and producer surplus. So estimated billing should not even have been tolerated by the government for this long. I told you before, this is not a buy and sell business. Mm-hmm. This is an investment. It's not. I just look at some of these people dealing with energy. Even the same thing with marketers.
All right. I will look at your experience from outside Nigeria, but I know that every day we sit here and talk. Some people actually quote us back, like Peter from Jos. Peter says sometime ago, early this year, NTA talked about this same thing, and I'll quickly say the way he said. He said, we were told that a new tariff was going to put customers on different bands so that customers don't have to pay outrageous bill. But as of today, a household whose income is less than 2,000 naira a month is charged 9,500 monthly because the customer does not have a meter, which is not their fault. Is electricity in Nigeria for bourgeoisies. That's from Peter. Now, I want you to, share your advice for the managers and of our energy in Nigeria. I mean, you have been around, gone around. Using the Venezuela experience, what is your advice to them?
Well, the Venezuela experience is what PIA has saved us from. The Petroleum Industry Act has actually put a stop to Nigeria experiencing a Venezuela experience. Okay. Because the collapse of the oil and gas industry will affect even the power generation in Nigeria. So I'm happy with the PIA, even though it's not a perfect act, but it is a good act to use to begin to launch us to accomplish our potential in the energy sector. However, if I'm going to advise the Nigerian energy sector directors, we need to move away from subsidy. We need to move away from subsidy. And I think I heard you about energy efficiency. I just left my house. If I'm not in a room in Ghana, I shut off the air condition in the room in which I'm not. If I'm being subsidized, I will put on all the air conditioner in my house. And then I will be consuming electricity. And I will have to pay for it.
Yes.
Ghana taught me that experience, that you need to use energy efficiently. Efficiency does not mean you are, how do you call it, miaga or stingy. Because an electricity you do not consume in this hour is available for consumption tomorrow. So efficiency is key. In fact, in the US, we call it energy demand management, where you actually have some equipment that will regulate the brightness of your light and the temperature in your house. And that is a way and it is even something that the power generator we encourage. But I'm happy that we have the Petroleum Industry Act, which is very friendly to gas. Gas is a transition fuel to reduce carbon emission.
Yes.
But it requires a lot of investment. And if you are going to invest, my sister, there must be a return on investment that is optimal.
All right. You talked about subsidy removal. Are
Yes.
you adjudicating for that?
Of course, yes.
Wouldn't it be a pain for the poor man?
No. You see, this is what I call public education is necessary. And this may not be area that you want to talk about. Look at the educational system. It has collapsed.
Because
Look at
subsidy was removed?
Of course, because subsidy is there. Look at the health system. It has collapsed. Look at road infrastructure. If the government is spending about 1 trillion naira per year to subsidize energy consumption, that is taking money that you have used to do other things. And the society must come to the realization of some of these important aspects. That is what the government can even use to build schools, to pay teachers good wages.
You're talking about a subsidy being removed, and at the same time increment in salaries for people like us.
Well, I don't know if you are not well paid.
I'll come back to that answer.
I don't know if you are not well paid.
Like it. So we will be taking a break. Let's go to Lagos to find out a little bit about the policy of metering from Lagos Network Center.
The issue of power generation and distribution over the years has always been a source of concern, as various governments had made concerted efforts at different times to battle this age-long problem. In 2013, power generation and distribution in Nigeria was privatized, but even after this privatization, power supply has remained largely inadequate in the country.
When people talk about privatization, I want them to understand the fact that these entities were privatized in 2013. And that privatization itself, the whole thing started in 2002. It is a journey, a very long journey, and we're not there yet.
Earlier this year, President Muhammadu Buhari ordered the mass metering of all households in the country to replace the old estimated billing system, which in times past has met with high level of complaints from electricity consumers. Complaints such as overbilling and billing for unoccupied or unused buildings.
Mass metering, to me personally, if it is done in a way that individual is having it, it is good.
However, the prepaid metering system in Lagos has to a large extent been a huge success, but not without some challenges, ranging from the unavailability of prepaid meters, compulsory payment of old accumulated bills, among others from consumers.
You have accumulated debt on your bill. It's going to be transferred automatically. That was what happened to me. So it was transferred and we had an agreement with NEPA.
The people I've heard that got it, they paid some quite an amount of money. I used to hear 50,000, 60,000. So I thought that it's actually been sold. But I also see some areas, I think around Agigi, it was distributed to them, like distributed free.
Why can't we buy meter by the road? Get account number, put it in our house. That should be very simple.
In view of some of the inadequacies identified by consumers, an expert in the electricity distribution company speaks on how some of the challenges can be mitigated.
Not all bills are crazy. When you use electricity, you have to pay for it. And we know, as a matter of fact, that those who are not metered, they waste energy a lot more than those who are metered, which is the reason why we want everyone to be metered. And I'll give you a good example. In Lagos, you can just drive around major roads. You will see many places where the light will be on in front of shops. Those shops were closed on a Saturday evening, and they will not come to the shop on Sunday. They will not open until Monday morning. Yet, they will leave the so-called security lights on when they are going home on Saturday, and they will not come back until Monday morning. What that means is that for over 24 hours, that light will be on, and sometimes for more than 36 hours, the light will be on. That still has to be paid for.
Moving forward, the expert further stressed on how to make the industry beneficial to all stakeholders.
But the major problem that we have is energy theft. People doing illegal connection, people stealing energy, even the issue of meter that you speak about. The truth is that so many people that have prepaid meter are bypassing it. They are stealing energy. The more we still have this incident of energy theft, the more difficult it will be for everybody to have electricity in the country.
It is believed that achieving the goal of adequate supply of electricity and mass metering of all households in Nigeria is a collective responsibility of all consumers and key players in the power sector. This, in turn, will help in making the efforts of the government effective and beneficial for all.
From what you tell us, I noticed the story is not much different from certain other parts of Nigeria. And I still have the professor here with me. Professor, I would want to actually touch on what she said. But before we do that, a lot of questions are coming in here. So I think let's play fair, because I told them it's me and them asking the question. So good morning, sir. My name is Charles from Anambra. My community got a transformer from EDC, that's Enugu, from them to mount the transformer for the community. They are asking us to pay 5.2 million. Is this correct?
No, and that's what I was saying. The EEDC are supposed to provide those equipment. You are supposed to pay for the electricity you consume.
Not for the equipment.
No, you are not to pay for any. It's an investment. You are not the owner of the equipment. Unfortunately, and again, this is where we must always give room for our level of development. If you want to help them so that you can get this power quicker, whereby you don't wait for them because they can say they don't have money and you have the means, but then they should be deducting it from your electricity consumption. That money should be, you will be...
Okay, so if I do that, I can actually ask for...
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Again, they are asking you to invest indirectly, and they will pay you back by making sure... It's more or less like amortization.
All right, so our GM here says, I'm a publisher. My name is Francis. I have paid for my meter. Can I go back and ask for repayment?
Actually, if the government really, if you pay for your meter, in that case, to me, your electricity consumption bill will be deducted until all what you have paid for your meter is exhausted.
Maybe
that's the way.
In one word, can we ever get out of this power problem in Nigeria?
Oh, of course, yes. Of course, yes. The only thing, and that's the problem, we need to take prebendalism out of our mindset. And I've said, I have a new term for it. I call it Esau's syndromatic mindset. Esau in the Bible, you remember? Esau will ask his brother to give him a porridge and not thinking about tomorrow. If we begin to think more about posterity and begin to put round pegs in round holes, Nigeria has the potential to become what China is to the Asian people.
All right. So I said one word and you took more than 1,000.
I'm sorry.
But I forgave you because it's
Please
your
do.
birthday, and I want to say happy birthday. It was actually some days back.
Yes.
Congratulations as you turn 70.
Yes.
70th birthday. Happy birthday. And I don't have anything to offer you here, but I can offer my banana. You can have one. Just one.
It looked plastic.
Ah, did you say plastic? No, I refuse. This is not plastic.
Oh my
I'm going to open it and have a bite.
All right.
Yes, it's not plastic.
Wow.
We don't do plastic here. We're natural people.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to find out from Magdalene Ayamo. When customers complain, who do they go to?
Despite the unbundling of the power sector into private entities and substantial expansion in quality and access to infrastructure services over the years, the power sector problems still exist in the area of service delivery.
In this Nigeria, we pay huge amount of money for it, so I would like if they can give us what we are paying for.
The government should just try and tackle that issue. For me, removing that old bill, for the past 2 years, they're still removing the old bill of this. It's too bad.
What I think they should improve on is if there's issue in the transformer or with the electricity facilities, if they are being called upon, they should respond as quick as possible.
In terms of customer service, it depends on the perspective that you are looking at, from which you are looking at it. If you are looking at it from the perspective of what the customer actually gets in the field, that is improving. I won't say that we have gotten to where we want to be. We still have pockets of complaints here and there, but the joyous thing about it is that we also have customers who are beginning to say that we are seeing noticeable improvement in service. The good news is that government is working around this. I'm sure customers or stakeholders would have noticed very clearly that there have been a lot of efforts on the part of government to make sure that there is a great improvement in power supply.
In Nigeria, electricity consumers have numerous complaints ranging from high voltage, leading to damage of household equipment, to crazy billing, unreliability of supply from distribution companies, lack of meters, among other issues. Most customers feel that they hardly get the required attention even when they complain, and that such complaints do not yield the desired results.
I believe very strongly that by the time we get to the end of 2021 and we get into Q1 or first quarter of 2022, there would have been a more remarkable difference in what the power sector used to be and what the power sector will be at that point in time. So I'm that optimistic. I'm very, very confident about this, and I want to plead with customers to be a bit patient. It's a matter of some few months from now, maybe some 6-7 months from now, we will be seeing much more improvement than what we are seeing currently.
The power sector is very critical to the economic growth of any nation. Hence, the distribution companies should now show more interest in their customers' complaints and use such as a feedback mechanism, aside from making their customers happy by addressing their problems. Complaints should be seen as a vital feedback for enhancing customer satisfaction and experience.
All right, it's Weekend Deal, and right about now, we'll take a break. When we come back, more in the offing for you. Weekend Deal! All right, we're going straight on to Kaduna, and I know that our producer there took time to ensure that wrong practices, as much as we clamor for lights, as much as we clamor for electricity, there are certain wrong practices you can do that could actually endanger you as you do that. Kaduna packaged this. Let's see it.
In 2013, two segments of Nigerian power sector, generation, and distribution were privatized. Privatization only changed the dimension of the challenges, and power supply remains largely inadequate, unaffordable, and unreliable in the country. The federal government of Nigeria has announced that they will be providing up to 4 million meters to Nigerians in the second phase of its national metering program. How effective is the presidential directive on mass metering in Kaduna?
It has been very effective in the sense that in the first phase, that is the phase 0 of the program, which is coming to an end now, we achieved almost 85% success. Definitely, we will have recorded 100% success, but we had some hiccups, challenges here and there, which has become a kind of a learning process to us.
I prefer buying the unit because the the normal billing is too, sometimes it's not steady, you understand. Sometimes they'll bring 15,000, they bring 20,000. It's not this thing, you understand. So I prefer buying the bill, the card.
Honestly speaking, I prefer buying the units.
This billing is higher than the former billing that they used to bill us, because now when formally we do accumulate up to 6,000 naira a month. Presently, with the rate of how we charge and we make use of our AC, so things are very, very high. We consume more than before.
The next phase of the initiative will ensure consumers are billed appropriately for the electricity they consume by installing meters free of charge.
Kaduna Electric covers 4 states. Kaduna, as I earlier said, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara states. And in these 4 states, we have been able to meter about 62,000 households. The challenge is largely one, some of the customers have not been cooperating with our installers. Most often, meters will be allocated to a customer, and if you go to the point of installations, some of these customers resist. So instead of, let's say, an installer installing, let's say, 5 meters per day, you will discover that in a day he may not be able to cover that much.
In the not too distant future, it is expected that every household will be provided with a prepaid meter, hence solving the problem of overestimation of bills and other related problems.
All right, let's hope that that distance feature comes around soon and everyone gets meter, because it's good to know what you are spending and how you're spending it. And when it's regular, we actually get to control what we use. But let's move on to Port Harcourt. Precisely find out the state of metering in Rivers State. Let's see this.
The issue of power supply in Nigeria is still a cause of concern to all, as the country has been unable to meet the demand of its teeming population. There is no doubt that the lack of adequate and stable power supply in the country impact negatively on the nation's economy.
I go for prepared because unestimated on, you will see sometimes they will come and give people bill unestimatedly. They can give you bill of, let me say, 20,000 for a month. You understand me? Whereas this prepaid meter, you pay as you go. You buy your card, you use it.
Electricity in Nigeria is generated through thermal and hydropower sources. The main source of electricity generation comes from the fossil fuels, especially gas, which accounts for 86% of the capacity in Nigeria, with the remainder generated from hydropower sources. In 2014, the sector was privatized with different groups having the responsibility of providing power. The private sector Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company (PLC), which holds the franchise to 4 states including Rivers State, was set up on 1st November 2013, constituted under the Electricity Reform Act of 2005 after unbundling of the Power Holding Company of Nigeria.
It's ongoing in Rivers State and it's also in use. I think that the prepaid meter is one of the best things that will happen to this company. I cannot estimate power and be correct. But when it is metered through an electronic means, is the best.
It was first operated as a government-owned enterprise before being privatized in 2013. Presently, the Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company is divided into 6 zones: Port Harcourt Zone 1, Port Harcourt Zone 2, Port Harcourt Zone 3, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River Zone.
We have metered our customers in all of our 4 catchment areas. The regulator, gave a directive that for customers that have not been metered, that we are allowed to bill them using the estimated billing methodology. Being a law-abiding firm, we have complied with this regulator's directive to make sure that we bill them using the estimated billing methodology. So it's no problem. We are trying on that.
The company is to distribute adequate electricity supply to the zones with prepaid meters, although there are still some areas in the state that are using estimated billing of electric supply, while some areas are using prepaid metering.
At the end of the day, we get to ensure that we provide answers to your questions. I see a whole lot here, and I want to assure you something. The next package will be telling you or explaining or answering, however you want to put it, some of the questions that have been coming in today. Within the week, I had the opportunity of speaking with someone who is very knowledgeable on the topic, and luckily I recorded it. Let me bring it for you. Okay, so I'm being joined now to answer a few questions, just as we have been raised or have been raising them on this show by the Chief Electrical Inspector of the Federation and also the Managing Director, CEO of the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, NEMSA for short, in the person of Engineer Peter Iweso. Thank you for coming on the show, sir.
It's a pleasure being here.
Someone told me some time ago that a lot of agencies are in Nigeria, and sometimes she's confused. So I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your agency, especially the mandate.
We are responsible for ensuring that all materials and equipment that are used for developing infrastructures that will generate power, that will transmit power, that will distribute power, that we are allowed to use in houses have the right quality, have the right type, and when they now integrate them, that's when they now say construction, installation, when they now integrate them to be able to provide the service, then NEMSA too has to be the one to check it out and be sure to say, yes, you have brought generators, you have brought turbines, you have aggregate them, that is integrate them together, you have generators separately, cables separately, transformers separately. It is when you have now integrated them, when you have interconnected them, that they can actually deliver service. So we inspect power plants, we inspect transmission line project, we inspect distribution line project, and utilization areas. And if they have not been inspected for us to see that we deliver the service that is required, then it cannot be used. So it's not just an intermediary. We superintend over technical matters in the industry and at the same time at Nigeria at large.
Metering is one point of talk for a lot of Nigerians, because I've heard people say, my meter is running too fast. Oh, my meter, they say I bypass. Oh, my this. Can you tell us, what is your agency's involvement when it comes to metering?
That's a very critical area we are into now in Nigeria. The metering gap is very wide, where we have almost about 15,000 meter requirements. 15 million meters. And we just have about 4.8 million that are metered. They have almost about 8-point-something million meters household, factory have not been metered. And I would like to start from the point that metering is a very critical component, critical element, critical service, critical activity that actually sustain the industry value chain. Because it is from the distribution end
that all the revenue to be generated, to manage, to pay for services from generation to that distribution, that is where they are being collected. And without effective metering, appropriate metering, then you cannot actually have the revenue.
Are you trying to tell us that if we need to move into a particular place, whether it's ours or we're renting for the first time, there is need for us to actually seek for an expert, to come in and assess our consumption, to even be sure that we're doing the right thing?
Actually, I think the last statement is what we've been getting. Not to waste your resources, and there are scarce resources this time. Not just individual, that is private organizations and the federal government and state government, local government. The point is this one is that this agency is responsible for certifying qualified electrical installation contractors in Nigeria. We are equally responsible for certifying qualified and competent electricity meter installation personnel. That's the first one. So Nigerians should know that when you want to hire any workman in the industry to wire your house, to connect you to power supply, you must verify that that man is NEMSA certified electrical installation contractor or is NEMSA certified electricity meter installation personnel. We have them in our database. And then when you are called to, we are taking someone to work for you, please ask him, are you NEMSA certified? If he says yes, show me an evidence, because they have evidence. And then we have what we call, we issue them embossment seal, because we have 4 categories. Embossment seal is for category category A and B, and then the stamp for category C and D. So because we make sure that when they work for you, you must have a form you fill which is submitted to the disco to come and put power in your house. You must use that stamp to see, so that if there is any error, we will get back to you. But at the same time too, we like Nigerians to know what earthing is. Earthing is a safety device, a safety protection system provided in any installation, starting from even small house to the generating power plant. The biggest lines is to allow,
even if it's one room,
is to allow discharge of unwanted current or power to be taken away from your house and then go somewhere else. But when it is not there, basically you must find somewhere to go. That's why sometimes you have somebody has in his house, in his kitchen, he has electric cooker. You hear the shock. You hear the deep freezer shock. Why it's shocking is because there is no air to remove the leakage current outside. So the refrigerator or the cooker retained it. But the moment you install a proper earthing system for your installation, you will see that. And then the meter we're talking today, you will see it running. But for you not to waste your scarce resources, take the right personnel to work for you. And if the right personnel now do something different, then you have an organization to report to who will actually seek redress for you. And in most cases, we tell the person, one, you go and rewire that house at no cost to the owner. And if I haven't done that, if he does it a second time, then his certificate is at risk. And then if he does it in a situation that it has probably caused a harm, then the person loses his certification.
Okay, I want to know, before I go, my people will kill me if I don't ask this question. Now, when are we going to get off from up NEPA, down NEPA? It's been there from the days of kindergarten, primary, secondary, and it's still now. What's our way out?
Well, I think this administration has done a lot of work, done good job. And like I said, basically, when things have gone too bad, bringing it back to life has its own challenges. And the song of, when are we going to say up NEPA, down NEPA, it's not a question that one is going to answer, but for me to say one thing to you so that Nigerians can know. Expansion in this country is growing at a rate that's factory, industry, SNM, that is our individual houses. That rate of expansion is far more than the rate at which the electricity infrastructure is being expanded. That's one of the challenges. And this is a country where planning too is almost not there. And you find out that in the UK or elsewhere in a matured climb. You can't even start a foundation when you have not gotten the proper approval. And once you have been given a town planning approval in Europe, in UK, anywhere, all the facilities you require, being water, being road, being electricity, all will be part of your submission. Then they pass it to the different utility organizations. Electricity will have to say, oh, this man is building a house at number 4, we'll say so. And then they'll put the time. He's starting this time. In a year's time or 2 years' time, he'll be requiring 10 kilowatts, 20 kilowatts. 50, getting my point. The cumulation will help the utility company to plan in readiness to give you that supply. But here, even those who build factories that are very large load will not come to the DISCO or to TCN or to the then NEPA until he has finished. He won't even remember. But the moment he finishes, he come to you. It be a bank. Then we'll not be looking. Oh, the transformer I have here, can he cope? He cannot cope. And most times, even before you know it, somebody has illegally connected. Transformer goes back in flame. So, but steadily, this administration has been very steady in the planning, in the execution, and growing the sector. And that's why we had a 3-point agenda at a time, that is incremental power, steady power, and reliable power. That means we are still doing incremental, generating, and then still doing infrastructure. If you look at a lot of programs, federal government has a program now through the Siemens project that is going to actually improve on infrastructure. And then so many other programs that are coming, even the DISCOs are being given some enhancement funding for them to work on infrastructure. And you know, talk about rain. When rain is coming, oh, you see people switching off, or maybe they put us on. It's not supposed to be so. A well-made, a well-installed installation network, whether when it's falling cat and dog, it shouldn't, because there are special provision and devices have been provided that take care. If there's lightning, we have what we call lightning protector, lightning strike, soldier. They are all there. But these networks, you know, are aged, many of them. So when rain is falling, a cable conductor that has been there for 30 years, it doesn't have that strength. So if any duty just fall and drop on it, it cuts. Now, supply is lost, and then you have created a danger point. So most times, they do those ones as a way of preventing disaster, which shouldn't be.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming on the show. We have been speaking with the Managing Director, CEO of the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, NEMSA, and he is also the Chief Electrical Inspector of the Federation, the person of Engineer Peter Iwesa. And right about now, we'll take a break. Don't forget, the show is still loaded for you. Don't go away. God will bless Nigeria, bless our energy sector, bless the power sector, bless you, and I bless you especially as you join me again tomorrow to continue this topic. I'll see you next.